everyone, competition and conflict are facts of life. They show up in relationships, in politics, and at work. But our next guest says there is a constructive way to handle it. Dr. Dain Heer is an author, motivational speaker, and change maker. Welcome to Great Day, Washington.
Thanks, Marquette. Great to be here.
Great to be here because we all need some Monday motivation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we wake up, we read the news headlines, there's conflict.
And we want to go back to sleep because of the conflict.
There might be conflict sitting right next to you when you wake up. But you wrote this
You
book.
might have married conflict. Who knows?
I didn't
I'm
marry
just saying.
conflict. I'm not putting that out there. But I understand if others did. So you wrote this book on the return of the gentleman because you say there's a gentlemanly way to handle conflict.
Yes, a gentlemanly and a gentlewomanly way to handle conflict. And first, a gentlewoman, never looks at themselves as right and never sees anybody else as wrong. They don't go to engage in a fight, and they also realize that everybody has a different point of view, and if we can get that, instead of fighting for the rightness of our point of view, we can bring those points of view together to create something greater.
So if someone is approaching conflict, and if you've lived long enough, you know when it's coming, right? You feel the competition, you feel the tension. You say that person should ask questions first and not accuse. Why?
Yes, because what happens when you accuse or when you come to a conclusion about what it is, you're stuck with that conclusion. If you ask a question, it opens up another possibility for what might occur. So 4 questions, very simple. What is this really? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And how do I change it? And when you're asking, what is this really? I mean, how many times have you thought something was one thing and then you talk with the person, you find out it was something completely different? It's really nice to know that going in so you know what's really going on for them and what's really going on for you and where you can come together to create something greater.
Are you asking yourself those questions first or are you going to the person?
Yes, definitely ask yourself first. Because until you can get clear on what's really going on, you don't really have a place to speak from because you're both it's happening over here and you're speaking from something that's not actually addressing the issue that's actually creating the conflict.
I like that. So don't fill in the blanks. A lot of people, they tend to say, okay, I know what's going on here. But you also say don't align, agree, resist, or react. So then what does that leave us with?
What it leaves us with is something called interesting point of view. So what happens, a lot of us, the align and agree, resist, and react is where we get polarized and we're right and they're wrong. Interesting point of view, if you would just go, interesting point of view, they have this point of view, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. If you get that awareness that their point of view is just an interesting point of view and so is yours, it starts to take the fight out of it, and then you can come together and actually create possibilities. And that's really what a gentleman or a gentlelady will do in the world, is create possibilities for everyone involved.
So the goal is to stay neutral until when? When can you make up your mind about a situation?
Well, I say you can make up your mind to create more possibilities in the situation from the beginning, but not until you have a sense of lightness in what's getting created. See, what's true for us always makes us lighter. A lie always makes us heavier. And until we can both come together with what's true, we need to keep working to find out what is possible. You know, we've seen this in the world. Some of the great statesmen of the world have done this so brilliantly, where they brought together both sides of the aisle, both sides of the conversation, and said, hey, let's create something greater for all of us. That's what I would like to see.
It's not until you do something for the greater good, I've seen, that you really start to advance in your life. I've seen that in other people's lives. We talked about the kids in the beginning of the show building the playground, and that's when people start paying attention.
And
but,
and that's when and that's really when we shine. That's really when the greatness of us shows up, when we're creating something greater for all of us. And we have this choice. We just have to be willing to make the choice because it's so different than that knee-jerk reaction of wanting to fight and be right.
Okay, and going back to that, you say most people would rather be right than free. What does free look like?
Well, free looks like, okay, we had this argument, but guess what? I see your side, you see mine, and now we're creating something greater. I mean, if we can take anything from relationships where, you know, we've been at each other and then we come together to create something different, the relationship always gets greater when we do that.
True.
And that's really what free looks like.
I love that. That's so inspiring. That's so true. When you disagree with someone and then you come together, the relationship is so much more fruitful. Thank you for putting everything in perspective this morning.
Thanks so much, Marquette.
We'll be back with more Great Day after this.